Interest rates just hit an 11-month high. If real estate was easy, everybody would do it. I've always on the show talked about you must be a professional. You must be knowledgeable. You must study. You really need to know your craft. Because today, with AI, you could turn around, go into chat, and just simply ask questions, and it's going to spit out some answers. So you're going to have buyers really are going to be in tune to what's going on. Welcome to the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. For this show, I'm going to talk about interest rates and how to succeed in real estate. So let's jump into the interest rates. Interest rates just hit an 11-month high. Why is interest rates going up? Well, once again, it is the conflict in Iran. So it started heating back up. Oil prices were down in the low 70s. Now they're back, over $90 a barrel. So the Federal Reserve, they're talking about, still no cuts. They're still worried about the Middle East crisis that's going on, or conflict, and they fear inflation, period. And it stands to reason, everything is moved, is transported from one location to another by oil. So it is a major cost associated. We saw it several years ago when oil was at $5 a gallon, or gasoline was $5 a gallon, that, inflation was over 9%. It was an absolute mess. So interest rates just hit a high, thank God for the spreads. The spread in between the 10-year Treasury and the mortgage-backed security, or the 30-year mortgage bond, which is mortgage-backed security, keeping everything in check. If we were where we were last year or the year before, we would be over 7% in those interest rates. We're touching upon that, close to that 7%, the high sixes, but it's a far cry from when we were in the high fives starting out the year, to the low sixes. So, hey, it's all going to pan out. We're going to see, what's going to happen. I do think, because it is an election year, I think they're going to try doing something in the administration, or else, the Republicans could have a bloodbath if, gasoline prices are still really high. So we're going to see how everything transpires, what's going to happen. I think maybe interest rates and oil prices will come down, but, who knows? I mean, heck, this conflict, I guarantee, is lasting far longer than what the administration thought it would. Are you thinking about buying, refinancing, or investing in real estate? I've been a loan officer for 30 years, helping my clients find the right loan for the right property. I keep it simple and honest. If you want real numbers and guidance you can trust, give me a call. Now let's get back to the show. Okay, so now, next question here, or the next subject, is how do I succeed in real estate? I've always on the show talked about you must be a professional. You must be knowledgeable. You must study. You really need to know your craft. Because today, with AI, you could turn around, go into chat, and just simply ask questions, and it's going to spit out some answers. So you're going to have buyers really are going to be in tune to what's going on. They're going to be able to do their own searches. They're going to be able to compare square footage, just run everything through, ChatGPT. And if you don't have the answers, if you're not on top of everything, well, guess what? Somebody's going to see you, and they're going to say, I don't know if this person is the right person, and move on. So, number one, most important thing, if you're a real estate professional out there, I don't care if you're a realtor, you're a loan officer, you really need to know your stuff. Okay, that's number one. Now, the question is, how do you do that? Well, the way you do that is, if you're a realtor, you're going to join a team, or you're going to join a brokerage that has mentoring, has a lot of education, because without that, you're going to really be lost. It's going to be super difficult for you, to succeed, to really gain that knowledge. Now, is it impossible? Absolutely not. It's not impossible, but it's a much harder climb. When you have that mentoring, you have a team support behind you, that really helps. And the same thing if you're a loan officer. Hey, you want to go to a place that they're going to mentor you, going to coach you up and really teach you and take that time to make sure you are successful. Now, I just recently did a power hour where I had a top real estate agent with a large team of over 40 agents. And we had, 30, 40 people in the group, and we're asking questions and hearing, hey, what do you do as a team lead to help your agents succeed? And I think the group was a little bit disappointed. I think there was some good nuggets in there, but a little disappointed because they really wanted more concrete information of saying, hey, step by step, which I sort of get if I'm a team lead. Hey, if you want the step by step, if you really want to know what we're doing, join my team. Why be at another agent? Maybe that was part of it. Who knows? But there's ways to succeed beyond. And here are some of the ways that I've seen, especially real estate agents. It's pretty easy with loan officers. But with real estate agents, hey, how do I get in front of people? Because the key is having conversations, getting in front of many people as humanly possible. Well, number one, hey, anybody who has a cell phone, they may have 200, 300, 400 contacts on their phone. Reach out to them. And guess what? You want to reach out to them maybe 3 times a year. You should be calling these people up anyway. If they're your friends, if they're your family, you should reach out, once to 3 times a year, okay? Reach out, let them know what you're doing, and hey, these are the people who know you, like you, trust you, love you. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to help or refer, hey, I just heard a coworker talking about, thinking about buying a home, those kind of things. So that's something you have to reach out. That goes without saying, and everybody talks about that, right? You're going to be reaching out minimum 3 times a year. You don't want to call once a month. That's a little bit too much. Then you're going to be a stalker, but at least 3 times to 4 times a year, so they never forget what you're doing, what's your new business, okay? So that's number one. But the second part is, especially if you're in a bigger brokerage, is to do all the open houses. Talk to anybody who's doing open house. Say, hey, I'm willing to do an open house. Because when you do that open house, you're going to have people, coming in. But it's more than that, okay? You want, once again, to show your greatness and separate yourself from everybody else. So when you turn around and you do an open house, a couple days before the open house, you knock on all the doors in the area. And it may be 30, 40, 50 doors. It's not going to take you that long because half the people aren't going to be there. So you're going to knock on these doors and you're going to say, hey, I'm doing open house on 123 Main Street. If you're available, why don't you stop, come by, say hello. But I just wanted to let you know there's going to be a lot of traffic. There's going to be a lot of people here. So I didn't want you to get alarmed of thinking there was, something going on, right? So that's one way of doing it, because now it's accomplishing 2 things. You're circle prospecting. You're going around the neighborhood talking to people and then asking them, hey, did you think about selling? How long have you been in your home? It's just having that conversation. But the second thing is, if you turn around and you do a successful open house, you may have 20, 30, 40 people at that open house, and the neighbors that come out see all these cars, and even if they're not ready to do something right now, and you reach out to them, you get their contact information, and you put them in your database, well, guess what? 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, if they're ready to make a move, they're going to remember, especially if you stayed in touch, where, hey, you had 30, 40, 50 people at an open house. They're going to want that for their sales. So doing the open house, you're going to circle prospect, you're going to market it, in all the different sites, and you're going to put up a ton of signs. Not 1, 2 signs. You want to put up 10, 15, 20 signs all over the place so everybody and their grandmother knows that this open house is occurring. And then, of course, at the open house, you're talking to people. You're making sure people are signing in and say, hey, can you please sign in? For legal purposes and insurance purposes, we need to make sure, who's in the home. And then on top of that, we are going to do a giveaway, and you could do a $15 giveaway to Home Depot. show, so they'll sign in and they'll actually give their real information. So if you do that, and if you do enough of these open houses, guess what? You're going to get a lot of people, a lot of phone calls, because from that list of people who signed in, you can call them up and you can say, hey, how are you? I just want some feedback. You came out to the open house, 5 minutes most. I just want some feedback on the property. How did it show? Do you think it was priced right? Are you from the area? How did you find out about the open house? More a true questionnaire on the home. So a true questionnaire that you want to do with that. So if you do that, you'll get in front of people. You'll have those conversations. People say, who the heck am I going to call other than my sphere of influence? Okay, so that's one. Another one, I spoke to an agent where he turned around and he did rentals. So anytime he saw a listing for, hey, this home's, is being rented, and, he would search everywhere for it, and he would call the owner saying, hey, I see the homes for rent. Is it still available? Just a quick question for you. I do a lot of rentals. I have a lot of people who are interested in rentals. If I find somebody, will you pay me for that? Well, guess what? What you're doing is building relationships with landlords. And if you build up enough relationships with landlords, they will hire you to do your rentals, especially if you do a good job and if you bring people to them. Okay? So now, if by doing that, you're making the quick buck, because now you're getting $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, in a 30-day window. So you're immediately getting money, and you're building up a database, because now you're marketing, you're advertising rentals, and you're meeting people. Because guess what? If you're a renter, there's a good shot in the future that renter is going to want to be a homeowner. So you can build that up as well. Of course, there's, the different portals, whether it's Zillow, Realtor.com, what have you. You can do that, but that's a tough grind, because you get a ton of inquiries. Half the people ghost you. Half the people aren't qualified, and you're just really spinning your wheels when it comes to a lot of that, where it's taking a lot of time and energy, and it's a cash outlay, or you're losing 40% of your commission minus whatever the brokerage is taking. So that's a tough one right there. But hey, people have been super successful with, Zillow leads or Realtor.com leads. It is an avenue, and it is an idea that you can do. It's just, hey, it's tough. Like anything else. If real estate was easy, everybody would do it. Okay, now, if you're a loan officer, number one is you need to talk to realtors. You need to talk to realtors, because you cannot compete with the real estate agents and their marketing, because not only are they listing properties, they have signs up, throughout, they have all their websites, you have the different portals and all that. You're not, unless you're a Rocket Mortgage, somebody with billions of dollars, you're not going to be able to compete. So the only way you can get in front of some buyers, not only way, but one of them would be talking to realtors. But guess what? When you're talking to realtors, you're talking about their commission. Okay, and for them to trust you with their commission, you better be damn good. And like I said in the very beginning, you need to be on top of your game. You need to be an absolute stone professional and be able to do what you say you do. Because all you have to do is lose one deal for an agent, and then that potential buyer, is pissed off at the agent, and they lose that, and they potentially lose that commission of $4, $5, $6, $10,000, whatever the number is. They'll never talk to you again. So it is huge, huge, huge. If you're a lender, you better be talking to agents, but you really need to be on top of your game. So this is just some ideas that I had, especially from the Power Hour that we did. A lot of people were really asking for specifics, where I guess they felt that they didn't get as much specifics. But guess what? Some of the specifics they wanted also they didn't want to hear. Everybody wants the easy button. They want to turn around and just say, oh, sign this piece of paper and we'll give you all the leads and that's it. It's that, low-hanging fruit or that easy way of doing things. And guess what? This business is hard. It's highly competitive, and there's a lot of people out there trying to accomplish the same things you're trying to accomplish. So there are my thoughts. We're just going around in circles, after that power hour. I do a power hour every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month, monthly. And I have different guests on there. And it was just one of the things that, sort of stuck in the back of my head, and I said, hey, why don't we have a little bit more of a conversation? Well, that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and of course on YouTube. This will be on YouTube, the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Give me some likes, really helps out the algorithm, trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. We're about 4,000 off, so help me out with that. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll talk to you next week.